So, Liv, we're back.
It's Leonie.
It's Real Talk. It's Leonie and
Liv. I don't know. Like, I just like routine. I'm sorry.
Yes, I know. You, it's good. We need an intro, and you always
Well, there
edge
you
me
go.
on for that one. This is our last episode for the year. Can you believe it?
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
Right?
Or I probably should do all that. What for Christmas is you?
Oh, yeah. It's
Are
a bit
you
of a
sick of hearing
Mariah.
that?
So, is it a Mariah? No.
No, that's Mariah.
That is a Mariah. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
brilliant.
It's such a good song.
Watch Love
Gives me
Actually
chill-
multiple times.
Gives
I
me
just
chills.
I live for this time of the year.
Oh,
I
right.
live for it.
We love it. But what I really want to delve into for this intro, and by the way, today is a bit of a rogue. Well, we're going rogue. We're talking
It's
lots
real
of
talk, Lee. Don't call us rogue. Like, people love that we're a bit cray-cray.
So we're going to be talking about the must-dos for relationship maintenance because let's be real, we're going into the festive season and we don't want to kill our partners.
Do you actually know that the month for the most amount of divorces is January?
Wow.
I obviously know that because I work in a commercial law firm. We have a
Yes.
family law practice.
Yes.
And they are absolutely rushed off their feet
Right.
from 31 December,
Stop.
New Year's resolutions. I can't do this again all through January and February.
Wow.
So anyway, yes, that's why we're doing
just
relationship
trying to-
maintenance.
This is
to keep people together.
This is our public service announcement episode.
But if you do need family lawyers, like,
yeah.
DM me. I know some good ones.
We've got you sorted. No. But what I want to talk about initially, yes, Christmas is lovely and all of that good stuff. But let's be real. I mean, cost of living through the roof, presents to buy, meals to cook, all of that.
Yeah.
I think
it's anxiety provoking for
it
sure.
can be for people. And I want to tell everyone, this is my public service announcement. I found Costco. Okay, so and they are not sponsoring this episode, but I feel I need to tell the people. So I've always been a bit weary of the Costco kind of bandwagon.
Yeah. Yes. Why?
Well, because I'm like, they'll have.
What did you think it would be?
Okay, so I'm big. Oh, nearly swallowed my mint.
I was like, you're about to vomit all over me? What is going on?
Keeping it real, people. So I'm big on, I thought there were like all no brands. Like, and the reason why I'm triggered by or I shouldn't say triggered, but it does bring up a little bit of internal, traumatic childhood experience around the fact put a bit of mayo on that one for you, Liv. But,
like stale, plain, beige food.
More that I just have a memory as a child of like, and it's so ridiculous, but I remember unwrapping my Glad wrap, wrapped sandwich and looking over at my friend and they were unwrapping theirs and they had the Glad sticker on it, as in it was the end of the roll. Like they put a little sticker. And she's like, and I was like, what's that sticker? And she was like, oh, it's just from the Glad wrap. It's the end of the sticker. And I was like thinking, well, my mum doesn't buy Glad wrap. We buy the no frills stuff. And I remember just being like, but why is all my stuff a little bit different to everyone else's? Like,
we need a whole other episode on this, obviously. Don't you love how Real Talk just really brings up some suppressed feelings?
We're going deep.
It's like all of a sudden we're talking about the cling wrap from when you were 8.
This is what I talk about with my like psychologist and then I just bring it to the people.
Yeah.
So my thing, and it's like no wonder I do love a shiny brand. Let's be real. I'm the kind of person that will pay extra just for that bread, right? Yeah. But the thing is, so I thought Costco was going to be no frills or whatever. And I was like, I don't
kind
feel
of is.
No. They have Grey Goose. I'm bleeding with that. They have Moet. They have shapes. They have the real Oreos.
Yeah, true.
They have the real
They have
brands.
options. They have options. Big bulk options.
That literally bring your truck and you're ready to do it. But then I realised after that 2 hours of being in that store with half of Melbourne and like sweating and the children are over it, I realised you can get it ordered to your house and delivered.
What?
And I was like, mate, that just changes everything.
Okay, you've just changed the game.
I don't know what the delivery fee is, but I'll pay. Like, I don't care. I'm not going back to Costco, but I love the deals.
I discovered Costco many years ago.
Yes.
But I do not go there because I find
it's stressful.
It so overwhelming.
Yeah.
The big trolleys, the big, like I'm big enough, as we know. Like I don't need any other competing business in my life. I find it super, super overwhelming.
It was a lot.
Would find that I would go, I'd had my $70 membership or whatever it was. And I would literally walk out with some cans of tuna because that's all
much.
Or I'd start,
no. It's okay. It was a full-on experience and we went on a Saturday afternoon and half of Melbourne was there. But I was able to, so the delivery is an absolute game changer. But then talking about Christmas, I'm able to bulk buy stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and it's amazing.
Great present options.
Stock up for alcohol for the summer.
Grey Goose,
have it done, and they've got like all of these. So I was kind of like, I'm down for the Costco thing. It was worth my $70.
How often do you think you'll go?
Yeah, I reckon I'll order online probably once a quarter because I did buy and it was great for all the lunchbox items. I'm just so overspending $6 for 6 shapes at Woolies. They had the big ones, right? And to be fair, now I would say in our previous home, I wouldn't have been able to have all of those. I wouldn't have had anywhere to put all of the things. However, you need to have a bit of space, I'd say to those listening, like where you can store things away.
Store 2 litres of peri-peri sauce. Yes.
The soy sauce, we bought like a 2-litre bottle talking about soy sauce, and then we're like, it doesn't fit in our fridge.
Yeah.
So we then had to
Let's leave it on the kitchen bench.
We had to put it in jars. We've got these 6 jars at the back of the fridge of soy sauce.
But like cost of living, could you imagine that it will save you
do you know what?
a big chunk of cash?
I then did my Woolies shop the following week and I didn't have to buy all the Bonsoy. Bonsoy, $5 a pop. I'd bought 20 at Costco for whatever. And, all those, and he literally shaved $100 off my bill. I will say, though, that Costco is an investment. As in we bought a fair bit. We bought, but I'm taking away all the lunchbox items, all the Bonsoys and all of that, and it really shaved down. So I'm just buying a bit of the fresh produce and obviously the milk and bloody blah. So things to think about, people, if it feels right for you.
I also know about Costco. My sister-in-law, she's listening. She loves Costco, and I love Costco through her.
Okay.
So, I mean, one for parents, nappies. Great
nappies, that's what I bought.
Nappies.
Yep.
But second of all, a lot of Costcos also have a petrol station attached to them as a cost of living saving. The petrol, if there is one close to you, is bargain basement prices. Huge saving to be had.
Okay, that's a big one. They should sponsor this episode. I mean, let's be real. We're just pumping them up.
Give us a call.
The other thing I've done that has been a game changer around the Christmas time is we bought a deep freezer. Now, again, you need the space for it. We've put it in the garage and we've it's in the back of the garage. I've become suburban now.
For those watching us on YouTube, people listening to the podcast, if you ever want to see our facial expressions, especially mine, because I do not have a poker face, I'm literally looking at Leonie, staring through her, being like, "Who are you? You have a deep freeze." And then I was just imagining all this lasagna and pistachio. I don't know what all the other great things that you cook. Meat. I don't know.
So we did a bulk buy of meat at the Greek places that we go to.
Gee, not so silly.
And the lambs and the skewers that are already marinated, all this stuff, whacked it in the deep freezer. And so that on the weekly, I'm not buying. I mean, I'll still buy my chicken because that's not. But I'm talking about the red meats and things like that. So the deep freezer. I've become totally suburban. For those listening, I used to be so not doing the suburbs, not doing a deep freezer, not doing Costco.
She would drive to my house 20 kilometres down the road and go,
this is I'm a city living kind of girl, and now I'm telling you all my intel, and I think I've just succumbed to the suburb lifestyle. But
something in that.
Things to think about for those of you who are sort of thinking, how do I best prepare for this festive season?
Woolies and Coles, I mean, sorry for anyone just cottoning onto this, but they have programs through their reward systems where you can put your rewards towards your Christmas account. So Woolies, you can start, as you earn points, you can use that as cash or points towards your Christmas shop.
Wow, that's amazing.
Which I did last week, which was fantastic. The 300 shop I was able to pay because I've been working towards it over the year and just not having to do that just kind of really
big difference. Absolutely.
Because I still really dislike the cost of
everything.
Cheese blocks
and
everything. Detergent. We could go on, but we're not because that's boring.
Exactly.
And we're here to talk about
the must-dos. We're here to save your marriages, people. Don't look for other resources too, but we are here to contribute to your relationship being sexy AF. So when it comes to mind, what's one of the first things that come to mind, Liv, when you're thinking about what you do or what you've heard others do that's really supportive for their relationship?
The thing that I have been thinking about a lot most recently is intimacy outside the bedroom.
Yep.
So connection, touch, feel. I know that on this podcast years ago we spoke about my mum and dad giving each other a kiss when they got home from work. We've just stopped doing that and it's literally just occurred to me. So I've made a really concerted effort of when I leave and when I come home that the boys are seeing that we're making the effort to engage in that way and touch and feel and play so that you build the connection. because it's really important that you have that before you can even think about anything else.
Totally.
Like, that's the thing for me at the moment. Do you
We need to
resonate
be
with that?
emotionally connected, particularly as females, in order to have anything progress further. And I love that point that you make around the children seeing that, because sometimes we forget about that too. They're watching us. They're watching how we interact.
Becoming role models for what they will be like as partners, lovers, and you want to normalise the holding hands and the touching and the kissing, and it's cute for them to go, oh, mum and dad, but to be able to say, mummy and daddy love each other, and this is really normal.
Yes,
it's normal to touch and feel and talk about it.
Be tactile.
I think that's really, really critical for raising good little humans.
I agree, and it slips away so quickly because we're in the to-dos and we're delegating and we're screaming orders at each other and we're like, yep, catch you then, and you're taking this one and pop them in the car, and you're just on the go. But think about it, prior to children, who did you give all of your touch to? That person. And then children come along and you give all your touch to your children. So that person drops off. You're touched out. So, and it's a deliberate act, like you're saying. So even if there's one thing that we could take away, it's maybe it's the kiss hello, the kiss goodbye. One thing that comes to mind in the heat of an argument. So I'm quite a fiery mixed breed, as all of you probably know at this point. So I get conflict. It's a sore point for me. And I have to say, in my previous relationship before Jules, with the guy that I actually thought was a very serious relationship, I was living in Sydney with him, we did not have very good conflict resolution, and that's what broke us. So conflict resolution is absolutely critical. And if you've somehow put a Band-Aid on it and you're trying to I think fundamentally, if you haven't really worked through the best way to resolve in your relationship, eventually that could be the foundation that just rocks you.
Can we break that down? Conflict resolution, i.e. communication.
Correct. So what during a time, a heated time.
Okay, so when you're losing it, when you literally have steam coming out of every orifice of your body, what do you catch yourself in that and go, I'm not the best person of myself. I'm gonna walk away right now. What do you do?
So it's funny you say that, because then when we Jules and I saw the relationship counsellor, the first thing she said is, you need to start walking away, mate.
You need to calm down. You need to calm your farm.
So my thing is, I am so reactive. So I feel I'm getting better at this with age, but in sort of trying to hold back my reactivity. But you've shit me. I'm pissed off. I'm fiery, and I will just come at you and I'll just hurdle my reasoning, which will be very good. I'm a very good debater. Like, Jules can't get past me. He's like, no, but and I'm like, and you said this, and he's like, oh, I'm drowning, woman. Like, yes, everything you're saying is right, but I'm so aggressive around my delivery. So what I've realized, and then what I'll do is I'll go for the jugular. So it's like, and particularly back in the day, again, I feel like I'm getting a little bit better.
When's my therapy going to come for some of these?
So basically, what I've realized that I'll articulate my point, and it probably will be valid. But because I'm aggressive and because I get really steamy, the other person's kind of feels a bit caught off guard, and they're like, no, they're trying to defend themselves. Then I get really angry when you're trying to defend a point that's actually factually incorrect, and I will repeat what they're saying and be like, that is wrong. And then eventually, if they don't back down, I'll then start getting nasty.
Hang on, weren't we talking about what you've learned?
I know.
I know what
this was do. Old Leonie. No. So I'm giving this example because this was my pattern. And then I get nasty, and then it's like, you shouldn't have.
Not nice for anyone.
It's not productive.
Not nice for you. To feel like that.
Totally. So it's this big combative situation, and this is the cycle we got into, particularly in the first year of Noah being born, because I'm sleep deprived, I've got postnatal depression, I've got anxiety, I can't deal, and then I snap and I will just go rah. And what the counsellor told us was, the best thing to do is, words can cut through like a knife, right? And as much as you might apologize down the track, that person, it's done damage to your relationship. And not to scare anyone, because trust me, I've done so much damage in my time. But, and if you're feeling like, oh shit, maybe I've done damage too, welcome to the, preaching to the choir. But the point is that it's good for us to remember that. And so therefore, the best thing is, you feel you're getting so heated and you feel you're spinning circles around what you're trying to say, and the other person's not buying into it. You need to stop. And the psychologist said, and you need to say, look, I still love you, but I need a minute, and I'm gonna walk away from this conversation. I'm like, I don't know about I don't know if I've got the I love you in me, but I'll be like, I need a moment. And then she's like, no, it's important that the other person feels loved when you walk away. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's probably stretching it for me. Like if I can just catch myself and go, this is not productive, Leonie, stop, and go elsewhere, that has been really helpful for me, because then it's almost like we just have a break, we separate,
breathe.
I simmer. And I even notice it with Jules when he comes back into the conversation, he's more level-headed as well. And because he's always the calm person, I'm always the fiery person, but typically stereotyping, but he almost can handle the fiery better, and I've simmered down the fiery so that
you can meet.
Meet halfway, and then we're finally having somewhat of a productive conversation.
Because I think Jules is a little bit like me. You know, we've been friends for a very long time. We've had conflict in our friendship. I don't like conflict. No. You're kind of more okay in conflict. Jules, I think, is a bit more similar to me in that we will do everything we possibly can to avoid the conflict. Yeah. Probably let you win on occasion unless it's something that it's just like, And I can think of many, many, many times where I go, oh, no, you didn't. Oh, no, you didn't. But, like, that's a really hard dynamic for a relationship when, one person's wants, like you want to have the conversation. I want to cash it out. Whereas Jules is a bit like,
can we just leave it?
Can we just leave it? Yeah. It'll be okay. Yes. Like, we'll work it out
He's
tomorrow.
a lot more that demeanour. And if I compare, so what went wrong in my previous relationship was we had two people, although my ex was not fiery, he was very stubborn and he was always right. He studied law. So let's be real. You know what you're doing with.
I know a few of those.
So like a few of those, right? So it's like, no, we're having a debate and it's like, no, I'm winning. And I saw this beautiful quote the other day, which was just a good reminder, where it's like, you may have won the argument, but you've lost your relationship. Like, was it worth winning the argument? So, I mean, I need to remember that because I'm such like a competitive person.
I mean, we know this about relationships, that you need balance and compromise and listening and communication and love and care and respect.
Yes.
And the way that you do that is by sitting down at the right time, whether that's when you've kind of just calmed down or when the kids have gone to bed.
Yes.
To kind of, present both of your points of view, because you still, I'm sure, leave some of those conversations still both thinking that you're right, but perhaps having some awareness of
the other person's
point of view.
Yes. And also the other thing that the psychologist told me that was really interesting was knowing each other's triggers. Yeah. So I used to press hard into the trigger. So I knew if I said, well, I'm doing everything around here, you basically do nothing. Yeah. That would trigger him that triggers massively. And he's like, what do you mean? We know what we mean. We're not saying you do nothing, but it's more that the mental load, all this, I've got all of this in my head. But I realized that was just not cutting through. It's almost like he was just so angry by that I wasn't getting my message across. And so I've stopped. So knowing the triggers. So through counselling and stuff.
It's actually just mean. Like,
it's mean, isn't it?
We might feel a little bit, it was being really mean and disrespectful, really, to everything else that goes on, which probably goes to like appreciation in a relationship too. It's another critical thing that's really important to show.
Absolutely. And so therefore I think just on the trigger point, if you're listening going, oh, I know that when I say X, Y, Z, that really riles my partner up or bloody blah, like being mindful of that, because I used to use it a little bit and then I became so aware of it and with the counsellor sort of acknowledge, and then we talk through why it triggers him, because it's like actually my life has changed so much as well, and I'm doing the best I can with what I've got.
And look at what I'm doing.
And it's, it's both of us doing our best. And then I was like, shit, that's pretty unfair what I was saying. And now I just don't use it. I'm a lot more careful around that.
Yeah.
So
did you ever have to apologise?
We didn't really, as in about that point.
Well, no, just like, is that ever something that you need? Like, I don't know, it's a very personal question. Yeah. Like when you start to own, like you've had a reflection of, oh, maybe that was a bit uncalled for. Yeah. I suppose the time has passed.
Yeah.
But
it's interesting. After counselling, not necessarily, but if it comes up again. Yeah. Or if I've slipped up and I'm like, oh, well, I basically did everything today. And then I'll be like, I'll sometimes be like, oh, my bad. Okay, I know, that was my bad. And I will because, but I never used to. Yeah. So I think it's the awareness piece. And, I'm probably sounding like an absolute monster. And I know everyone wants to live with me after this conversation.
But
I'm being like real about my points, like my downfalls and therefore my lessons from them, because that might help someone else who's feeling that way.
I think that's right. And, that is not my experience. Mark and I both do not like conflict. So we have no conflict, which I think on the other hand is also not a good thing, right? Because I think conflict is a really healthy thing, and you've been able to achieve a really healthy level of communication in your relationship with Jules now, with lots of help and therapy. Everyone needs therapy.
Yes.
That should be the tagline of this show at some
the title
point.
of this episode.
Everyone needs therapy. But it does go back to that really important level of communication, to kind of not push things down, which is a very natural thing for me to do. In everything. Work, like I do it so much. So you've got to find your thing that you own that can enable maintenance of your relationship.
Absolutely. And then I guess one of the last things I'd like to touch on is just time together. So obviously talking about like the to-dos and, where can you find a time that the two of you can go for a quick walk together or have Uber Eats on the couch while the kids are sleeping, or, because I think if we're not doing those things, and we harp on about this a lot, but it's just a good reminder in this episode as well.
Put your phone down.
And put that phone down, yes.
That's also something, because you might be sitting on the couch eating Uber Eats, sitting next to each other. But if you're doom scrolling, because we all do it, because for some reason our phones are attached to us and we're texting our girlfriend while we're sitting with our husband.
Right.
Like, that's something that I've also been really critically aware of recently, that I might be in the same room and I'm ticking that box of
time together,
but I'm not actually present because I'm distracted by something that's going on around me. Yeah. So I think that's also something to kind of just catch yourself on too.
Absolutely. Any final words of advice as we enter this dynamic Christmas season?
Stay together for the kids? No, I don't know. Like, just talk about it. Yeah. It is really hard. You have to maintain it. You have to put in effort. The minute you stop putting in effort, I think it's just going to be a really quick downhill spiral.
I did speak to a psychologist on the podcast actually years ago, and I said, who are the couples that you're most concerned about? And she said, I'm like, the ones that come in screaming at each other, like, are they the one? And she's like, actually, it's the ones who say, I have not had a fight in 5 years because if they're not fighting, they're not communicating. So I guess the point is, if you can try to communicate, even if it's uncomfortable and all of those things, because the last thing you want is you're 20 years down the track and you haven't said anything, and then all of a sudden someone moves a coffee cup and you're like, I'm out. And it's like, whoa, what just happened? And it happens all the time though, because we're, the busy, there's other priorities, there's other things. So I think, to your point, just talk, reminding each other to
if you find it hard to talk, write a letter, write a text, say, tonight I would like to talk to you about A, B, and C. Yeah. Then you've put the agenda out there so you don't chicken out over the dinner table. Like, there are things that you can do to make it easier for yourself.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Yeah. Love that. Well, we'd love to wish everyone a great Christmas. Merry Christmas. And
holiday time, that's what I'm here for.
Safe, festive New Year. And also thank you for everyone for tuning in for the last another year, another podcast year, another year down. So I really appreciate that. If you're not already following us on social media, please do so. We are at Parenthood Pod, and we'll be back in your ears in the new year.
2025.
Can't believe it.
See you then.
See you.